Oh, no, it was hard to tell which were the police and which were, yeah, yep.
Because I could hear the police say something like, stay down, because they shot him a few times.
Yep.
And after they said stay down, I heard a few more shots after that. So
maybe he wasn't staying down.
I think maybe he wasn't. He's going to stay down.
Well, he's staying down now. So that's good. But, hey, this is what, and I questioned it right away because I thought it was important.
What I found satisfying for me, from my point of view, was that the shooter was a white, conservative, right-wing gun nut.
That was the first question I asked because that was important. Was it a white conservative? Probably,
35 to 40 years old.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. He probably volunteered on the Trump campaign.
Christian. Real religious, right wing. Yep.
Yeah, but turns out no, it's not true. He was a white male.
Oh, it was white.
He was white, okay. But he was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, huge liberal. He did volunteer on Bernie Sanders' campaign, presidential campaign.
So not a Trump fan?
Not a Trump fan at all. No. One of the big Facebook groups that he was part of was called Terminate the Republicans. Who, by the way, I don't know if you saw, they posted. They were joking about the shooting and saying, good, if we keep doing it, maybe the Republicans will start caring about people. And
yeah.
It's absolutely terrible.
Well,
Bernie Sanders, by the way, he came out and rightly
condemned it
pretty much immediately, said, oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
I hear that he was a volunteer on my campaign.
I didn't know him.
It's absolutely horrible.
But
what's weird is you remember Gabby Giffords.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about her boat later.
Sure.
But
yeah.
In 2011, she got shot, and everybody blamed Sarah Palin because she had targets on cities that they were targeting to win on a map. And back then, he didn't just say, this is horrible, we shouldn't do this. He said, I wonder if Arizona is now a state where people who aren't Republicans can participate freely and feel safe. Or if all these right-wing reactionaries, through their threats and acts of violence, intimidate people with different viewpoints. So, and the difference is, there's zero evidence that the guy that shot Gabby Giffords did it due to any political motives. Yeah. He was just a nutcase.
Yeah.
The guy in the current shooting at the Republicans' baseball practice, also a nutcase, but there's some evidence that it was politically motivated.
Yeah, because some witness said that he had asked them if it was Democrats or Republicans that were practicing. And they replied, well, it were Republicans. And then he left and came back a few minutes later with a gun. I also heard he'd been living in his van in the area. And they actually had some photos of his van.
His wife said she hasn't seen, I thought she said since May.
Yeah, so maybe 3 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
And
she also said, leave me alone. I mean, she wants to, because the press is outside their house, and she said, leave the neighbors alone, leave me alone, leave our kids alone.
I want to be alone.
This is completely unexpected, which maybe that's weird.
Well,
but
I mean, there were people that knew him that said he did not appear to be a kind of person that would do this, as often is the case.
Yeah.
I figured that's why I'm a nice guy all the time, is I'm a ticking time bomb, and I want people to go, oh. But actually, I asked people that. I go, do you think they go, yeah, you'd be the first one. So it's not working. So oh, yeah, if anybody was going to do it, it would be this guy.
The other thing worth note, Terry McAuliffe, he's the governor of Virginia.
Where it happened now. A lot of people thought it happened in D.C. I saw a lot of that.
It was near Alexandria, which is very close to
D.C. It was
D.C.
in Alexandria. Because
very close to D.C.
Yeah, it's right across the river. Mm-hmm. Been there. It's a beautiful city.
Me too.
The police chief is in charge. I mean, he's the main in charge, and then the FBI are there, and the county and all that, and then D.C. police as well. Because the security people, there was a security detail for the representative. Because apparently the high-ranking members of Congress get a security detail.
Yeah, so Scalise is the House Majority Whip, so that's probably what, I mean, and Rand Paul, I think, was the first one to say it, that they probably would have all been dead had he not been there because he had a security detail. I'm wondering why all these pro-gun Republicans didn't have their own guns.
Right.
That's weird. I mean, they were at baseball practice, so you don't really run around the field with it on your hip, maybe, but,
have it in your car.
Yeah. So,
well, I give the credit. The police were there in 3 minutes. I mean, you heard the sirens.
Police,
you heard the sirens while the shooting was going on. So it was pretty quick.
Yep. Terry McAuliffe, though, and I'm not going to say what you probably expect me to say about his horrible stats. I'm just in general.
Well, he made a statement.
Just in general, I want to say he's a very disgusting person.
Yeah.
I mean, and he has been for years.
He's
it's
very
not
anti-gun.
new, but he came out the first press conference after the event. Usually they come out, the chief will tell you, what they know. The governor will come out and say how horrible it is.
We're all praying
how
for
he's
the families.
praying and thinking, and it's terrible, and all the people that are coming together to help. He comes out and calls for gun control. And we're talking like a couple hours after the event. It was the first briefing with the press. He comes out and says, well, we have too many guns on the street. We need to get guns off the street. This isn't going to stop until we get rid of guns.
Not realizing that it was people with guns that stopped this guy from killing people.
Moron. Well, while he's surrounded by people with guns to protect him as well. So
he must have been very nervous.
Horrible. There. Yeah. He must have been.
He also said 95.
How did he make it out?
95 million people a day are killed.
Yeah, and I don't even care about
He
that.
misspoke. I
that's
just want to
being
bring it
blown up way too much. By the way,
too much.
Because he said 95 million people per day are killed by guns. Yeah. But in general, when an anti-gun person makes up some stupid stat that they do that all the time, I'm okay with nailing them about it. Yeah. But he corrected himself. He said 95 million. The reporter said 95 million, and he said, I mean 95 per day. Yeah. He corrected him. Now, it's still a bogus. The number's close, but it doesn't represent necessarily gun violence. It represents people being killed, including suicides, including accidents, including murders, all of those things.
Including police officers doing justified
self-defense, those sorts of things.
Sure.
95 per day, you have to look at it and say, maybe that's
that's close.
What are you going to do? It's probably close.
80 to 100.
Yeah. But he said 95 million. He corrected himself. He's a human. He's a disgusting human, but he's a human.
But if you look at 300 million people in the country, 95 a day is 2 in each state.
Almost nothing.
Yeah.
Less than 2 in each state.
Yeah.
Not 95 million a day. We'd have 4 days and we'd all be gone.
We'd be gone. We haven't seen deaths like that since the plague.
Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know if there's anything else to say about that. It's horrible. I hope there's not a lot of copycat or other people that think, it's great.
Well, what's disgusting is, like you mentioned, the Antifas and social justice people are, asking for more, and he deserves it, and it's too bad he didn't die, and it's just, I don't know, sad. What's happened to this country where we want to kill each other? It's ridiculous.
Well, I blame Trump. Do you think maybe the guy was just an edgy comedian that's not for everybody? Like Kathy Griffin? Is that an excuse? Because
it was free speech.
Yeah, that's what
he was doing. The First and Second Amendment.
Look, there's that, right? Kathy Griffin. There's the Caesar play in New York or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's backed by all sorts of liberal companies. New York Times being one of the biggest, where it's very clear that they were just murdering Trump.
Yeah. They weren't even being subtle.
Come on. And I'm cool with free speech.
Yeah.
Right? But let's not blame guns.
Well, in that case, it was knives. Caesar wanted knife control.
Speaking of banning knives, didn't they do that in England, or they wanted to, or something?
Well, yeah, I think they're controlled a little bit, and they would like to ban them, and they realize that's going to be impossible because it's a pretty useful tool.
You know what?
Now they want to ban pointed knives.
Hold on. Why don't the Republicans hold their baseball practice in D.C. where it's a gun-free zone?
Because they'd be safer.
They're like a mile away. They might as well.
Nobody gets shot in D.C.?
Right.
Okay. I don't know if that's true.
Okay. All right. What about London?
Well, they had a horrible fire.
Yeah.
High rise. It happened, the day before this shooting or so, and after all of their terrorist attack, people were wondering, well, is this a terrorist attack or not? And they don't know. They're still investigating. They got 17 dead, many more missing. But it seems like, and it went up fast. That's what shocked people. It went up really fast, and people were saying, well, maybe it was planned and they had explosives or gasoline or something. But I guess the building had been remodeled and they used a lot of plastic on the outside of it. There was only one staircase in the whole building. there was an issue with the fire alarms and the sprinklers not working well, and so it's under investigation, and we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll find out the source of it. But I just wanted to say, I think our thoughts are with people in London for that.
Yeah, of course. We have large buildings and apartment buildings and things burn all the time. I've been kind of thinking about this lately. All of this news, like there's a shooting, like police officer shot in London. That's been happening for years. Or any time there's violence in the United States, we hear about it, at a national level. I'm not really sure why this made so much news that a building in London, England, burned. Well, and there wasn't even any. They weren't like, we think it's terrorist attack. It was just like, it's a big fire.
Well,
it's horrible. It's tragic.
No, I think it used to be these kinds of things were the news.
Not here.
Well, yeah, but big fires made the news, because we didn't have all the fake news and all the made up stuff and all the trivial stuff that makes it on the air. A big fire would have made, a lot of papers 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's news. It's legitimate news, I think, in that case.
That's fine, yeah. I mean, to me, it's equal to our obsession with the Queen.
Ours?
Not me. Americans.
Oh.
I mean, for some reason, we still like that idea of queens and princesses and whatever. And we're like, she had a baby. Woohoo, yay.
I don't know if every American feels that way.
Well, obviously not. I don't feel that way. I mean,
no, I don't either.
You're Mexican, so you're not an American.
I don't care.
But the rest of us...
I don't know. I don't.
It's just weird to me. I don't know.
But speaking of the British, it looks like the armed special forces troops are disguising themselves as homeless people living on the street.
Nice.
And they're armed with a Heckler and Koch. Heckler and Koch.
A what?
Heckler and Koch.
H&K.
An H&K MP7 gun. And medical kits, and they're stationed at key positions in city and ready to strike at a moment's notice.
Okay. What, just in case there's terrorism?
And it says that volunteers from the Counter-Revolutionary Warfare Wing have reportedly been drafted for the operation, and that once in a while, some of the soldiers stop by and feed them and water them. Sorry, mate. We've been busy.
Look, and they're making tons of money. People, they put a cup out. They're making tons of money for the government doing that. So I'm wondering, what is the Counter-Revolutionary Warfare Wing? Are they they have a complex?
Sounds like something in Cuba or something.
Well, the Revolutionary War. I mean, did we give them a complex back in the 1700s?
Yeah,
they're like,
it was formed in 1775.
This isn't happening again. Huh?
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
It's funny because that goes back to this day in history, which is going to be interesting. All right, so we're close to a commercial time. So, anyways, what do you think of that, Nate? Before we go into commercial,
it's weird
having.
I think
undercut.
What's the point? Is it to stop terrorism?
Yeah, they'll be on the street corner if somebody starts running somebody over with a truck or
and do what? They'll watch and make a good report.
Maybe they'll
shoot at them and hit some innocent people.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Well, maybe they're trained to spot like people with bulky vests, especially in the summertime. They're wearing a down jacket. It seems suspicious to me. Do you have any quarters?
Why don't they
have quarters?
Why don't they?
You had a pound.
Why don't they just give? Yeah, every quarter. Are you an undercover cop? Why don't they just give their police officers firearms?
Well, that would be one good thing, wouldn't it?
I mean, come on.
They're not trained enough, I guess.
Oh, well, yeah.
Bad PR.
It's horrible. All right, we're going to take a break.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
we got trivia questions. You even said it was a good one. This
is a good one. This is a good one.
All right, you remember World Fairs. We haven't had a good World's Fair in a long time.
No, we haven't.
Used to have them every once in a while, but there was a concession that earned $862,000 in just 5 months at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933. Now, to give you an example, that $862,000 $600,000.
Yeah.
That's equivalent to almost $16 million today.
Wow.
So what concession earned that kind of money at the Chicago Fair or World's Fair in Chicago?
All right, at OddsShow.com. We'll be right back.